My name is Chloe, and at 24 years old, I was left for dead in a desert canyon by the three people I trusted most. They thought it was the ultimate prank. They thought I'd be humbled, scared, and finally put in my place. They didn't expect me to walk out. And they certainly didn't expect what happened 72 hours later when I showed up at our best friend's wedding, clean and calm, just as the groom began his vows. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who swore they had your back, let me know where you're watching from. The sun was the first thing I registered. A brutal, white-hot hammer driving straight into my skull through my closed eyelids. The second was the pain. A deep, throbbing ache at the base of my neck. The third was the silence. Not a peaceful quiet, but the vast, empty silence of nothing for miles. I pushed myself up, my hands scraping against rough, dry rock. The world swam, a nauseating tilt-a-whirl of bleached sky and red sandstone. I was on a narrow ledge, about 20 feet above the floor of a canyon I vaguely recognized. We'd hiked here once, years ago. The Maze, they called it. A network of slot canyons in Utah, beautiful and, if you didn't know your way out, terrifying. My backpack was gone. My canteen was gone. My phone was gone. All I had were the clothes on my back, a thin tank top, hiking shorts, and my worn-in boots. And a single, crisp white envelope tucked into the waistband of my shorts. My stomach dropped before my fingers even tore it open. I knew that stationery. Sophia's favorite. Inside was a card, the kind you'd get for a birthday. In elaborate, calligraphic script it read, Chloe. Asterisk time for a little solitude. Thought you could use a break from always being the group mom. Don't worry, we left a signal. Just follow the arrows. Try not to be so dramatic about it. See you at the wedding, asterisk. J, M, and S. Asterisk P.S. Your phone's password was way too easy to guess. We'll have fun going through your pics, asterisk. A coldness seeped into my veins, colder than the desert night that was surely a few hours away. It wasn't the heat that made me shiver. It was the signature. J, M, and S. Jake. My boyfriend of 5 years. The one who'd kissed me goodbye that morning and told me to pack extra water for the surprise day hike he'd planned. Maya. My college roommate, my supposed best friend. The one who'd helped me pick out this very outfit, saying, we're something you can move in, just in case. Sophia. The third member of our inseparable trio. The planner, the artist, the one with the flawless handwriting who believed every cruel prank was just adding texture to our story. They'd driven me out here while I was napping in the back seat. They'd hit me with something, a rock, a water bottle, I didn't know, just hard enough to stun me. And they'd dumped me. As a joke. A lesson. Because I'd been stressful lately while helping plan my friend Tara's wedding. Because I'd asked them to be on time, to not get blackout drunk at the rehearsal dinner, to remember this was Tara's day, not their personal party bus. I was the group mom. And this was my timeout. People say you should feel rage in a moment like that. Scream, cry, punch the sandstone until your fists bleed. I didn't. I felt a terrifying, crystalline calm. The same calm I'd felt years ago when the doctor told me my mom was gone. It wasn't the absence of feeling, it was the overwhelming presence of a single, definitive truth: nothing would ever be the same again. This wasn't a prank gone too far. This was a line, scorched into the earth and crossed with laughter. I looked around. They'd been clever. They'd left a trail of small arrows scratched into the rock face, leading down from the ledge. A false trail. It led deeper into the maze, away from the main path. Following it would be a death sentence. I knew because I was the one who'd researched this hike. I was the one who'd downloaded the topographic maps to my phone, the phone they now had. I was the one who always packed the emergency gear they mocked me for carrying. I stood up, ignoring the pounding in my head. I didn't follow their arrows. I turned my back on them. I'd always been the practical one. The one who paid the bills on time, who stocked the first aid kit, who remembered everyone's allergies. They called it nagging. I called it survival. And in that moment, every boring, sensible, motherly thing I'd ever done became my weapon. The sun was my enemy. I had no water. I had until nightfall, when the temperature would plummet, to find my way out. I started by climbing, not descending. I needed a vantage point. My boots found purchase where my city slicker friends' fashionable hiking sneakers would have slipped. I'd grown up in Arizona. The desert wasn't a playground to me, it was a familiar, dangerous relative. An hour later, perched on a high ridge, I saw it, a faint, thin line of dust on the horizon. A road. Maybe 5 miles east. I oriented myself using the position of the sun. My dad, a former park ranger, had drilled land nav into me as a kid. I could hear his voice, *panic drowns people faster than water does, Chloe. Your brain is your best tool. Use it, *. I climbed down and started walking. I moved from shade patch to shade patch, conserving energy. I sucked on a small, smooth pebble to keep my mouth from feeling like sandpaper. I didn't think about Jake's laugh or Maya's smirk or Sophia's perfect penmanship. I thought about placing one foot in front of the other. The miles stretched. The sun beat down. My throat was a dusty riverbed. The world began to warp at the edges, shimmering with heat haze. But I didn't stop. I was done. Not in a dramatic, fist-shaking way. Just done. The way a clock finally ticks past an hour it will never return to. I found the road just as the sun began to bleed into the horizon. It was a deserted gravel service road, but it was a lifeline. I walked along its edge for another mile until I saw the glow of lights. A lonely truck stop diner, a beacon of fluorescent light and grease. I pushed through the glass door. The air conditioning was like a physical blow. A waitress with tired eyes and a name tag that read Darlene looked up from wiping a counter. "Lord, honey," she said, her voice raspy from cigarettes. "You look like you've seen the devil." "Just my friends," I croaked, my voice unrecognizable. She didn't ask questions. She poured me a giant glass of ice water and slid it across the counter. I drank it slowly, my hands shaking, while she called the local sheriff for me. I didn't tell the deputy the whole story. I gave him the abbreviated version. My friends and I got separated on a hike. They must have thought I'd found another way back. My phone's dead. I just need a ride to the nearest town. Moab. He was skeptical but kind. He drove me to a budget motel on the outskirts of Moab. I used the emergency credit card I kept hidden in a secret zippered compartment of my wallet, the one they never knew about because they never bothered to look, to pay for a room. Inside, I stood under a shower so hot it turned my skin red, washing the dust and betrayal down the drain. I looked at my face in the steam-fogged mirror. My eyes were hard. Something had broken, and something new had been forged in its place. I didn't call them. I didn't text. I knew what they'd be doing. They'd be back in Vegas by now, at Tara's wedding weekend, probably already drunk by the pool, laughing about their epic prank. They'd be checking their phones, expecting a frantic call from me, a tearful voicemail. They'd be high-fiving each other for teaching me a lesson. They had no idea the lesson was just beginning. I opened my laptop. I had backups for everything. 2-factor authentication on all my accounts. I remotely logged out of all devices on my social media, my email, my cloud storage. I changed every password to a randomly generated 20-character string. I saw they'd tried to post a stupid, blurry photo from my Instagram stories, a picture of my own feet from the hike, captioned "Chloe's having a timeout." Winking face with tongue, I deleted it. Then I got to work. The wedding was in 48 hours. I had a plan. The ceremony was being held at a lush garden resort just outside Las Vegas. I arrived an hour before it started. I'd used my last bit of credit to buy a simple, elegant navy blue dress from a department store. I looked calm, composed, and utterly out of place among the sequins and bright colors. I slipped into the back row just as the music began. And there they were. My three favorite people. Jake, looking handsome and anxious in his suit, fidgeting with his phone. Probably waiting for my desperate text. Maya and Sophia, sitting together in the third row, wearing the matching bridesmaids' dresses I was supposed to be in. They were whispering, giggling, shooting glances at their phones. They hadn't even noticed I was missing from the bridal party. Tara, the sweet, oblivious bride, was beaming at the end of the aisle. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just a cold, surgical focus. The groom began his vows. His voice was thick with emotion. Tara, from the moment I met you. That's when I made my move. I didn't storm the altar. I didn't yell. I simply walked down the aisle, as calm as if I were heading to my seat. Every head turned. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Jake saw me first. His face went from confusion to shock to sheer, unadulterated panic. He dropped his phone. Maya's giggle died in her throat. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. I stopped right beside Jake. I reached into my small clutch purse and pulled out a single, folded piece of paper. The groom had stopped speaking. Tara was staring at me, confused. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Tara, I said, my voice clear and steady, carrying in the dead silence. It's beautiful. Please, continue in just one moment. I just have to return something that belongs to Jake. I unfolded the paper. It wasn't a love letter. It was a billing statement. Jake, I said, turning to him. He was white as a ghost. You left this on my printer months ago. I've been meaning to give it back. It's for the secret apartment. The one on Elm Street. The one you told me you were selling 6 months ago, but you're still paying rent on. Funny, that. I handed it to him. He didn't move. His hand was frozen in mid-air. I turned to Maya and Sophia. Their faces were a mask of stunned confusion. And girls, I said, pulling out my phone. I'd connected it to the resort's guest Wi-Fi. With a few taps, I airplayed a video to the large monitor that had been displaying a slideshow of the happy couple. I found these on my cloud backup. You must have forgotten to delete them when you were going through my phone. The screen flickered to life. It was a video from Maya's birthday party 2 weeks ago. The audio was crystal clear. She's just so exhausting, Sophia's voice whined. Asterisk always on our case about the wedding costs. Asterisk. I know, Jake said, his arm around Sophia's waist. Asterisk I can't wait for this weekend to be over. I need a break from her. Asterisk. The desert idea is genius, Jake, Maya slurred, raising her glass. Asterisk a little scare will do her good. Show her she's not the boss of us. Asterisk. Asterisk to putting the group mom in timeout. Asterisk they all cheered, clinking their glasses together. The video ended. The screen went black. The silence in the garden was absolute. You could hear the leaves rustle. I looked at my 3 best friends. Jake was staring at the ground, his shoulders slumped in defeat. Maya was crying silent, shocked tears. Sophia looked like she wanted to vomit. I didn't say another word. I turned to Tara, who looked heartbroken and betrayed, but not at me. At them. I am so truly sorry for interrupting your day, I said, my voice soft now. You deserve a perfect wedding. You really do. And then I turned and walked back up the aisle, out of the garden, and out of their lives forever. The fallout was nuclear. Tara's wedding was ruined, and she never forgave them. Jake's secret, his affair with Sophia that had been going on for a year, was exposed to everyone they knew. The video spread through our entire social circle like wildfire. They were pariahs. I didn't have to lift another finger. Their own actions, their own words, had been the weapon. I just handed them the rope, and they hung themselves with it in front of everyone they cared about. I moved cities. I changed my number. I started a new job. The quiet that followed wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. I'd spent years carrying the weight of their friendship, their drama, their needs. Putting it down was the greatest relief of my life. I heard through the grapevine that they all fell apart. Jake and Sophia tried to make a go of it but crashed and burned in a haze of mutual resentment. Maya moved back home with her parents, deeply ashamed. Their little trio, the one that was so cool and exclusive, evaporated into nothing. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. If I should have just confronted them privately, screamed, and been done with it. But then I remember the heat of that canyon. The taste of dust in my mouth. The cold certainty that they had left me there to suffer, for a laugh. They didn't want to humble me. They wanted to break me. They just never expected me to be the one holding the hammer. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to be your friends, don't forget to subscribe.